What comes in your mind when you hear the word vampire? Most probably, the definition of vampire varies depending on what media you have consumed. Some of you have read the Twilight novels and find that they're very similar to humans, but stronger and better in every aspect. Others might have seen Dracula, and have seen how he can change his form from a wild animal to a monster of nightmares. Or some have seen the disfigured Count Orlok from Nosferatu. Two things, though, are always the same about vampires. That they are immortal, being able to live hundreds of centuries, and that they drink blood to survive. White wolf vampires are all versions from different media or a stereotype of vampire seen in folklore. Clan Nosferatu, for example, are Nosferatu from Nosferatu. Dracula is really similar to the Tzimisce, and so are the rest of the clans, being, as I said, a stereotype or something seen in media beforehand. In the world of darkness, the world as we know it is more bleak, and any bad aspect of the world is increased by tenfold, and the supernatural are all reality too. Werewolves, fairies, mummies, mages, and ghosts are very real, and so are vampires. In this series, we will talk about the vampires in the old world of darkness, not Vampire the Requiem, Revised Edition, or V5. In addition to that, I have to say that I'm not an expert on Vampire the Masquerade, and I will most probably make mistakes, so please correct me if I do mistakes. In this episode, we will cover the basic rules of Vampire. In Vampire and the rest of the World of Darkness games, they use the Storyteller system. The Storyteller system uses pools of 10-sided dice. The Storyteller will ask you to roll whenever you do something that might be challenging or may fail in some degree. The Storyteller will then set difficulty and ask you to roll a blank plus blank roll. Blank 1 being your attribute and blank 2 being your ability or discipline you're using for the roll. Combine the amount of dots that you have in these two things and roll that many dice, including any extra situational dice that Storyteller might ask you to add. The difficulty is the number that the dice has to roll equal or more to, and you must have at least one successful roll in order to succeed anything. Rolling a 1 will decrease the amount of successes, and if you have no successes, then it's a botch. This is about it for rolling mostly. The other rules include maneuvers, disciplines, and all the stuff that all are gonna be explained in their own separate videos. Now, combat is a lot more complicated. At the start of every combat round, the Storyteller will ask you to roll Dexterity plus Wits roll, and whoever has the most successes goes first, and the rest of them act in a decreasing order. However, at this time you must also say if you're going to use any disciplines, willpower points, or any multiple actions that will be performed. All actions are done in the order of initiative, but this can change in 3 separate occasions. First occasion is when your character decides to delay the action. This is where maneuvers happen when your action does take place after you delayed it. Delaying an action can take place any other time aside from the moment that you would originally do the action. The second way you can interrupt initiative is when you're doing a defensive action, which can be done as long as you have one action left. The third and last way that can happen is through the means of celerity, which allow you to take additional actions. Attacks work as following. Dexterity plus Brawl for unarmed combat, Dexterity and Melee for armed combat, Dexterity and Firearms for guns, and Dexterity plus Athletics for thrown weapons such as darts or knives. The difficulty for the roll is 6, which can decrease or increase depending on situational modifiers such as cover, range, or lighting. After all turns it over, all damage is calculated in the resolution phase. There are 3 types of damage, those being bashing, lethal, aggravated, and damage dice rolls are always made versus difficulty 6. Each success deals 1 health level of damage. Bashing damage is for blunt items and punches and rarely do kill. Use your stamina rating to resist bashing, and it is written on the sheet with a slash. Lethal damage is dealt to directly kill a person. Humans cannot use stamina to resist it, and it takes a while to heal, though vampires may use stamina, and it's symbolized with an X. Lastly, aggravated damage deals damage to even the undead. Examples of aggravated damage are the teeth of vampires, claws of werewolves, fire, and sunlight. And they cannot be soaked except by using fortitude. These take a long while to heal and are marked with an asterisk. However, all characters can to a degree resist damage. This is called soak. A soak dice pool is composed of stamina. Humans can only soak bashing damage, but vampires can soak both lethal and bashing damage. Aggravated damage, as I said, can only be soaked using fortitude. Fortitude is also added to the soak pool for the rest of any damage types. After an attack is dealt and the damage is dealt too, the defender can soak some damage. Each soak roll is made against a difficulty of 6, and every success subtracts 1 point of damage. In soak rolls, like the damage rolls, they may not botch, only fail. Armor also adds to your character's soak. The armor rating combined with your base soak and fortitude makes your soak pull. Armor can sometimes though hinder mobility, meaning heavier armor will make it hard for you to move or do fast-paced stuff. Armor protects from all damage types except sunlight or fire. And lastly, armor is destructible. If the damage rolled is twice the armor's rating or more, the armor is destroyed. That is about it for the basics of the rules of Vampire. There is obviously a lot more about it, the rules of the blood, maneuvers and disciplines, but they will all have their own video. If you're interested into watching more or want to support my channel, please subscribe. And stay tuned because I will be releasing a lot more videos about the Kindred Society and Vampire very soon. Good night.